here. So the question is from Chow Tak Tuan. So is there a way to get randomized question and a specific question from the group of learning outcomes without repeating? Randomly select 3 questions from a bank of 1 to 10, but all have question 11. If you want to do that, what you need to do is you need to have one specific question in there. Okay, so let me show you an example. So let's say, for example, in random learning outcome 1, a random question learning outcome 1, you have one question that you want everybody to see. Okay, so what you do is you add that question. Okay, add from the question bank. So learning outcome 1. So let's say, so this I want everybody to see. So what I do is I just add the selected quiz question to the quiz. Okay, and so that is the question just now, and we put it in that section. Okay, because then the students will know. Okay, so this is from the section. So let me. Okay, so how to place it? Okay, so when we do this, the system will automatically know that in the random questions that appears for the students, this question will not come twice. Okay, they will not see this question twice in section 1 because we already selected the random question from the same category of the questions. Okay, so hopefully that will help you with the answer. Okay, so so that is the question and how you do the randomized questions. Okay, and you can actually randomize the questions more by putting in a few question types. Okay, so question types that allows you to randomize your questions is calculated multi-choice, and calculated simple. Okay, so calculated multi-choice and calculated simple is actually a derivative of the calculated question. So I will show you how the calculated question works. Okay, so let's add a calculated question. Okay, so it says here that calculated questions are numerical questions but with numbers used selected randomly from a set. Okay, so what that means is that, so let's say, for example, question name is multiplication. So just simple okay. So what you do is so now you need to use a curly bracket. Okay, number 1 curly bracket plus multiplication, okay, times curly bracket again number 2 question mark. Okay, so that is our question. So what is number 1 multiplied by number 2? Okay, so now we need to specify to the system what is number 1 and what is number 2. Okay, so this is where you do the mathematical formula for that. So the mathematical formula is actually curly bracket number 1 times, you need to use the times sign, and number 2. Okay, so number 2. Okay, and make sure that you put in the grades to be correct as 100. Okay, so you can actually play with these tolerances. So I would normally choose either relative or nominal. Okay, there are actually instructions on YouTube how you can play or why you want to play with this, especially for those in mathematics or in physics where the tolerances needs to be kept really tightly. Okay, but I would just allow it like that. Okay, and then you can also for those who are doing units, then you can actually change the units and the unit handling and unit multiplier. So, but we are asking just a simple A times B question, so we just not change that. So when you click on Save Changes, okay, so we don't have to change anything here. So this is also far too advanced even for me. So next page. Okay, so this is where I change or determine the randomized number. Okay, for number 1 and number 2. So let's say, for example, I want the range of value for number 1 is between 10 to 50. Okay, but then number 2, I want it to be between 5 to 15 only. Okay? So that is the range of the values that will be generated by the system. So let's update the dataset perimeter. Okay. So then the random generated number would range between 10 to 50 for number 1, and the range of values will be between 5 to 15 for number 2. Okay, so after you set up that, okay, you can also change this distribution, okay, uniform or log uniform. Okay, so this would be an example of the answer. So 7.7 times 9.5, obviously that is the old one. Okay, but later I will generate the numbers for you. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go and generate those random numbers for the students. Okay, so I would add. Okay, let's say we have 20 students, or we have 30 students. So I want to generate, for each student they will get different sets. Okay, so add 30 items. Okay, so I click on add. So now I already added 30 wildcards or 30 random numbers. So let's look at those 30 random numbers that we have created. So to do that, in the display, you click on the number that you wanted to see. The difference, the range of the numbers is 30. So let's display all 30 that the system has generated. Okay, so now you have, so these are all the sets that the system has created for us. Okay, so we have set number 25, for example, is 46.3 times 9.3. The answer is 430.59. Okay, and also set number 14, 33.6 and 5 times 5.3. So that is the answer. Okay, so after you are happy with that, up to set number 1, save changes. Okay, so here you have created one calculated questions where when you, let me show you how it looks. Okay, so when you, so this is a random set that is created for the students. Okay, so let's okay, remember that number. So let's refresh this. Okay, so now the question has changed, isn't it? Now it's 35.8 times 14.3. Okay, so let's click preview another ones. So now this is 20.3 times 13.2. Okay, so now the students, each of them will have different set that's shown to them. Okay, and you can actually change that to how many hundreds of numbers that you want. Okay, so you can actually do a lot more, I would say, complex multiplication or complex calculation questions by varying the formula for this. Okay, so let's and you can actually go into the Moodle documentation and search for calculated questions. Let me check the documentation. In the meantime, if you have any questions, any questions?
Yes, Dr. Zahir, I'd like to ask a question, please.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Yes, I'm from the law faculty, Mr. Simon here. We have, of course, very detail orientated and very much focused on the written word in our testing.
Okay.
Do you have any comment on whether it's more efficient to use group testing or individual testing, and how to prevent sort of the collaboration and possible kind of cheating with online testing?
Okay, so that is actually slightly out of the discussion here, but I would suggest, if you have, from a faculty of law standpoint of view, I would suggest that you use the Turnitin essay function in our SPeCTRUM page. I think
yes,
that would best be more suitable for those with a lot of like essays and also descriptions, because the Turnitin allows you to actually check the students' written words or written answers with a database of possible similar answers in the internet, to make sure that they don't copy and paste their answers.
Oh, thank you. Look, just to clarify too, do you have any comment on the use of group work? Do you use that yourself, and what?
Well, normally I would,
pros and disadvantages of that?
normally for essays, I would prefer individuals. I don't really prefer group works, and the reason is quite simple, because I want my students to be able to, each and every one of them, to be able to write professionally. Because I teach a professional course, building surveyors, and each of them have to be able to write professional reports. So I tend to more towards having the students individually write their reports, so that I can check.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so let's go back to the question.
Sorry, Doc. Could you please just repeat? It was not clear earlier about Turnitin. Is there a way to synchronize Turnitin with the quiz?
No, there's no way to synchronize Turnitin with the quiz, but you have to use the Turnitin separately. So you need to use it separately. But I like Turnitin because it allows you to actually check the students' answers with answers from or resources from the internet.
So are you saying that we should be the one like inputting the answers into Turnitin and running the analysis ourselves?
No. When the students submit their work, they will actually be shown. So depending on the setting that they use in Turnitin, they will actually be able to see what is the similarity index. Maybe in another session, we will be able to show you how we use Turnitin.
Oh, so you mean that this will be totally separate, like it would not be part of the
Yes.
quiz? It would be a Turnitin kind of assignment.
Yeah.
It would be a Turnitin assignment. It would not be part of this at all.
No, not the case. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
You can actually ask essay questions in your quiz module, but it would need to be manually marked. And if you have 30 students, then it's fine. But if you have 120 students, I would not really recommend, especially if you get the students to write 500 words and more.
So the only way to sort of minimize the chances of cheating or copy and paste would be what you mentioned earlier, which is the browser security lah.
Yes, so that is for the quiz.
Okay, got it. Even that's also applicable for any format lah, essay ke anything, yeah? And
Yeah.
then, sorry, just one
Okay.
more clarification. This browser security
Okay.
you said means that they cannot open any new tabs on the
Yes.
same browser. Can they
Yes.
open a new browser?
I think when you open up the Java security, they would need to the window would open the whole without the whole page or the whole screen without them having to be able to do anything else.
Oh, okay, okay. Got it, got it. Yeah,
Okay,
that's good. Yeah,
so
thank you.
all right. So I'm still sharing my screen. So can you still see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, all right. So in the calculated question types, so these are the functions that you can use your in your question text. So you can apps. From cost to exponential, you can have pi. You can use pi. You can use square root. So you can use quite a number of different um, uh, ways to write the mathematical syntax so that then you can actually ask the right kind of questions for the students. Okay, so I want to show you an example of several questions that I made in my um, question bank that I have in my question bank pertaining to how to ask calculated questions. Okay, so let's go back to my question banks. Okay, and I have one. Okay, so these are a few questions that I've created. So this is quite normal. So that is the type of question. Okay, I have also done this. So I actually draw the square in PowerPoint, and I imported the square, the rectangle inside my the question. Okay, so how that would look like in the editing calculated question page is like this. So what I use is actually I use the column to put in the integer one and integer two is actually inside a column, and then I put in or embed a picture, image of the rectangle inside that column as well. And this is the formula is actually quite simple. It's just an area formula, so it's in meter squared. But in here, I allow for, so when you talk about units, I allow for the students to put in different units. So if they put in a meter, of course, its multiplier is 1. But if they use centimeter, then the multiplier becomes 10. Okay, and then you, as you go down, you get more units. Okay, so that is an example, one example. And then I also did so this is also quite similar, where I use the column to, I use the table function to put in questions like this. And so this is a little bit more complex. So that is the formula for Pythagoras theorem. So it's square root of power integer 1 plus power integer 2. Okay, so that is the answer for that formula. Okay, so that is how those different types of questions that can be for the students, and you are not limited to just two random numbers or two integers. You can have as many as you need in your question creator. Okay, so that is all that the time that I have. Actually we are actually overrunning by a little bit, by 15 minutes. So hopefully that have helped you started to think about how you can add or ask the questions for your quiz. Okay, I know that people in PASUM are now getting ready to do their final exams. So maybe you can use those kinds of questions, and also the different ranges of randomizing the question, and also uh, randomizing the numbers inside the quiz as well. Okay. Um, I I actually started the recording quite late, but I will still uh, uh, share the recording in our WhatsApp group and also in our website. Okay.
Dr.
So
Zahir,
yes, yes,
may I ask one last question?
yeah, no problem.
Is this platform SPeCTRUM able to sustain for 100 users at the same time? If I limit the 2 hours exam and 100 students actually log in, will it crash the SPeCTRUM?
Okay,
Thank you.
good question. The day last week, I think it was on Thursday or Wednesday, we had a test run with 800 PASUM students, and the system are running well. So you don't have to worry about the system crashing when you do with large groups. So 100 is so compared to 800 that we have the test before, then it should be okay.
Thank you.
Any other?
I have a question.
Yes.
I remember in a workshop I attended and you were presenting, you showed us some videos where we could use, if we forget something, then we can refer to those videos. Are there any videos for, in case we forget something or we need further information in future, any videos that we could refer to on YouTube or something? Because I tried searching them, SPeCTRUM or Moodle, I couldn't find anything.
Okay, so I will share to you in the conversations or in the chat function the posting that we have on question types. Okay, so I will share with you this so that then you can actually refer to it, and it contains every bit of information similar to what our talk is about today. Okay, the first one is the different question type in SPeCTRUM quiz. Okay, and then the first one, so the second one is how to set up the quiz, similar as what I talked about just now. Okay, so I will share this with you. Okay, so these are the two blog posts that we have in uh, in our SPeCTRUM page, in edX website, that you can actually use as a guide for this. I should have actually shared this earlier. So thank you for reminding me about this. Okay, so any more questions?
Dr. Zahir, one more quick question, Dr. Zahir. I just
Yes.
wanted to ask, once they do the quiz, how about the marking? It will be random. How do we get to mark the quiz, or is it marked by the SPeCTRUM itself once we enter the answer?
Okay, so actually all the questions is set to be auto-marked. Okay, so that means you need to put in or select the right answer, except for essays. Essays are the only questions that you need to mark manually. So you need to spend time to read all the students' answers and then give the marks to them.
So the mark will be automatically generated once once the system auto mark, then it will come to us. Is there the
Yes.
system will give us the mark for this particular student, for example?
Yes,
All
that's
right.
correct. You'll be able to see the marks in the gradebook.
And then for essay question, what you mean? Essay questions, they write it, and then we will have to read it off when
Yes, you have to read it yourself.
you read it, and then after that you give a mark offline.
Yes, you give the marks online. then it will be added into their gradebook.
Or online, you do first and then you give the marks online. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, okay. Thank you, thank you.
no problem.
Hello, Dr. Zahir. How about
Yes.
short answer question?
Short answer questions is the same. It will be auto mark. The only thing about short answer question is that all the derivative or all the right answer need to be inputted into the system. So that means, if say for example, the answer can be let's say thank you, okay, but terima kasih is also the right answer. And share is also the right answer. So you need to actually put in all those derivatives or variants of the right answer into the system.
Oh, I see. So it's a bit tedious, right? Because student can write a lot of ways of answer.
Yeah. So when you say, so that's what I mean. When you use short answer, make sure that the answer is as short as possible, so that then there will not be too many variants of the short answer.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Any more questions? So I will entertain one last question.
Okay, just to share,
Okay.
when you use the quiz in SPeCTRUM, later on you can actually import an Excel sheet of all the marks, so you don't
Yes.
have to worry about it.
Yep. That's correct. What the question?
Salam Dr. Zahir.
Yes.
Boleh saya tanya soalan?
Okay.
My name is Aisha from Electrical Engineering.
All right.
For engineering subject, we are so used to looking at the students, how they answer, what formula they use. So for quiz, can it be done?
It's quite hard to and quite tedious to type in all those. So I have no definite answer for you. I'm sorry. But if you wanted to find the right answer, then the system can do it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much for joining the webinar today. So do look forward for other more sessions that we are going to have with you all, guys. So thank you and good luck. Bye bye. Assalamualaikum.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. Please don't forget my question. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye bye.
Thank you.